I got the mind, moon, money control. 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 Yeah, yeah. Right. That English. Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all, hey, come on in the room. I'm looking for some more individuals to jump on before we get into it. So on each and every Thursday, as promised, I told you guys that I will be in the building bringing you things that can help you with your mind, mood, or your money. And I have been talking to a few coaches, and I know that a lot of people really don't understand the dynamic of what they're experiencing sometimes as it relates to when they're getting into relationships or situationships, entanglements, jobs, friendships, whatever that thing is. But there's actually a mental process that we go through that I want to share with you guys and talk more about trauma bonding and how to get in and out of it, if you will. So anyway, my share go. I want you guys to please share, share, share. I would like to have 10 more shares. And tag your friend. My share goal is 20. I've already shared some of them to my groups and things of that nature. And I just want to see where everybody's from before we get started. So if you're from the M Town, drop it in there. I want to see where you guys are checking in from. Where y'all at? Where y'all from? Hey, Coach Janisha is in the house. She is an ICC Life Coach graduate. And in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and get started with. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Coach Toy. I am the educational director of ICC Life Coach Institute, where you can get your life coach certification specializing in any area that you choose: wealth, health, finance, children, ADHD. I mean, you name it. We have graduates with different specialties in 9 different countries and 31 states to date. So if you are somebody that want to fire your boss, you are somebody who wants to have an extra stream of income, somebody that truly want to leave a legacy, I am looking for you. We are ICF accredited. Yes, the first and only in the tri-state area, if you will, with that in the Mid-South, I'm sorry, for that particular certification. So anyway, I want to get into it. Where you guys, where y'all calling from? I really would like to hear some of that before we get started. I'm going to give a few more people a chance to get into the room. I want to say hi, YouTube, hi, Facebook, hi, TikTok. Tonight we are talking about trauma bonding. All right. So, y'all, we oftentimes get into relationships, and it could be with a partner, it could be with a job, it can be with a friendship, and that exciting period that you go through when you are first meeting each other. It's kind of like the love bond, right? And before I get all the way into it in terms of the 7 stages of trauma bonding, I want to just tell you guys what that is, right? So when you think about trauma bonding is basically having loyalty to a person who is destructive, right? And it occurs often because of the cycles of abuse followed by the intermittent love or reward. So, in other words, you will accept the cycle of abuse and things of that nature for the temporary gratification of feeling love, as a reward, if you will. So, this treatment creates a powerful emotional bond that is extremely hard to break. And oftentimes it starts in your childhood, right? From parents saying, taking you through these mental cycles or whooping you or whatever the case may be, and basically planting in you that is a sign of love, and then will come back and hug you. So unfortunately, a lot of times that's what the first habit of trauma bonding starts. So people often don't realize that they're in a trauma bond, while others are outside of the relationship can clearly see the destructive patterns. Raise your hand in the comments if you've ever been in a relationship or you've had a friend in a relationship that they're going through this cycle of he loves me not, she loves me not. And everybody around you recognizes the foolishness. They recognize how you are being mistreated, undervalued, disrespected. And just because the guy or girl take you out on a date or buy flowers or be intimate with you, you find yourself getting back in that cycle of forgiveness that says, okay, he did this, but I'm gonna do that. But because he did that, bought the flowers, took me out, etc., I'm going to take that in exchange for the reward of having this particular person to love me. These types of destructive attachments, guys, oftentimes are known as like betrayal bonds as well. And you can take that in any context where a relationship can be formed. It can occur typically in romantic relationships, friendships, within the workplace. Family is notorious for it as well. So when you start to recognize, right, the trauma bonding, how the cycle typically goes is, and somebody help me out, and when you know, how the cycle typically goes is humans, we all want to form that bond, right, with others of love and support and survival. Because that's really what the whole thing is about. We want to feel safe. We want to feel supported. We want to feel validated, right? So when you're in the process of wanting those bonds, if you're not careful, you'll find yourself bonding with people who mentally or physically abuse you. So if you are dependent on that individual for any type of support, that's when the trauma bond occurs. So if you have an individual, if it's a job that you're making money at and you're in modern day slavery where you're dependent upon that job to pay your bills, you will take the disrespect from the boss. Or if you're in a relationship and the man or the woman is paying all the bills, or they're giving you the luxury things or the feeling that you want, you'll take it. That is the root of where it begins to start. Once you become dependent and on the support of the abuser. So then the trauma bond can alternatively be abused with remorse and trying to make up. So you that trauma bond, then what ends up happening, you're trying to make y'all make up, right? You're trying to make it make sense. You're trying to make yourself feel good and find the good inside of that person, even though it is a lot of bad happening. I know I've experienced it before, and I know many people out there have too. I'm just on here to help somebody today to get y'all through this trauma bonding cycle that we must break, right? So when you find yourself in the cycle of making yourself feel better and grateful for the person who has basically abused you, then that's when the abuse, if you will, feels like love when they come in and they try to buy you the things or tell you the things or be intimate with you and things of that nature. And then you find yourself, the cycle continues, right? And so now you're back at square one. You back in love again. So I'm gonna break this down just a little bit further. It starts with the love bond. You find yourself crazy in love with this individual, for example, right? It could be crazy in love. This is my dream job. This is my ideal situation, whatever that is, right? So once you have that love bond happening, you find yourself with different expectations from this individual so that you can feel the way that you want to feel, right? Oftentimes that's not healthy. So when they start giving you a little bit of something, it gives you the motivation to try to build the trust and the dependency on that person. So they and that person do everything that they can to make you feel a certain way. And then you in return start using that energy for them to validate who you are. So you start out isolating yourself from other individuals and you become codependent on that person for your mental stability and your livelihood. Then when the criticizing phase start coming in and the blame game starts to happen, what ends up happening, they start gaslighting. So there's gaslighting typically comes, guys, from, y'all remember the lantern lights that back in the day, the husbands, if they wanted to run the wife off, what would end up happening is they would flick the light on and off. And then the wife would be like, is the light flicking? And the husband would gaslight him and be like, no, the light is not flickering, and make the person feel like they're going crazy, right? And it's like, wait a minute, I know I saw this light going off, but because they trust that person, right, and they depend on them, they then just don't even worry about it. So it's used as a manipulative tactic to basically blame the other person for having actually rationale, but making them feel like they're crazy, right? So you got to watch out for those type of people. Then you tend to give up your control. So you give up your control to those individuals because you are trusting and dependent on them, right? So when you give up the control, you no longer believe, typically what you believe in you. All the validation comes from the individual. You got to get through that. And then the sixth part of it, number 6 will be you lose yourself. You lose yourself into that other person. And then the 7th part is you become addicted. So when you become addicted to them, when they do a little something, guess what? You back in love again. It's a toxic cycle that we must break. I want to share a video with you guys that I saw on TikTok, and I actually downloaded it so I can share with you guys. But before I do that, I want you guys to recognize how would you know if you, so you might ask yourself, how do I know if I'm even in a trauma bonding relationship, right? So this is how you can recognize it. You become obsessed with the good old days. So it may have started off great, but today now is what matters. He or she ain't given what it was given in the beginning, right? So you can't just lean solely on the good old days to validate someone abusing you. The second way, you keep the trauma and the abuse a secret. Now, if you can't tell nobody, you really don't need to be doing it at the end of the day, right? And you become a bit embarrassed and ashamed when in actuality, it should be okay to speak up about it, right? If it's healthy, right? So that's another way to identify. If you're keeping it a secret, you're in a trauma bonding relationship. Then you keep your distance, right, from the people you are close to or the people that's trying to help you. So the people that's trying to help you get through that situation, you find yourself not wanting to talk to those people because they put the mirror in your face and you don't want to see the ugly, right? It's okay to see the ugly for people who are supporting you and really trying to help you get past where you are to where you need to be in the future. Another way you can realize if you're in a trauma bonding relationship is you make excuses for the person's behavior. Oh, he's just having a bad day. Oh, she's not typically like that. Oh, he didn't mean no harm. Oh, it's okay if he does it. You start getting into the making excuses for the person's behavior, and good and well that it's not healthy and it's not right? So you also know you're in a trauma bonding relationship when you can't please them no matter what you do. So you give up. So you try to cook, you clean, you pay bills, you words of affirmations, your acts of service. I mean, your hand and feet. But nothing that you can do can please that person, no matter what you do. So instead, you just give up. You say, I'm not gonna do nothing at all. If you're not doing nothing at all and put any forth of effort in your relationship, you are in a trauma bonding relationship. Another thing to look out for, the abuser manipulates you into doubting your perception and your sense of self. That's gaslighting, right? So I'm telling you I'm feeling this way, and they try to make it seem like it's something wrong with you because your God intuition is telling you something ain't right. You question them about it, or you bring it to their attention. They manipulate it in such a way they make you feel like you are the one that's crazy, and what you feeling ain't right. And God gave us an intuition for a reason, right? Another way, it feels like a drug addiction. Oh my God, I can't get enough of him. I can't get enough of her. I can't make enough money. I can't, not call this person every day. It's really an addiction. It's kind of like bonding of the dopamine hormone, right? So the oxytocin hormone is the bonding hormone, right? And so when you mix that with dopamine, it becomes an addiction. So it works just like a drug. The brain says, I need you, I want you, I want you, I need you. So you start getting addicted to that person. Another way you know you're in a trauma bonding relationship is you clearly know you are in a toxic relationship, but you are addicted to it. And guess what? You're mistaking addiction for love. You can be addicted to someone and not love them, but because it feels and it feeds off of a certain thing, you continue to go along with it, right? You also find yourself in a repetitive abusive relationships. People that are typically in trauma bonded relationships, they attract that. So when you are attracting that thing, it's almost like you are drawn to people who treat you a certain way, right? So the brain says this is what's normal, this is what's right, even though it's wrong, right? So then the abuser or the person escorts to physical abuse and psychological abuse. It could happen both ways. Oh, he's putting his hands on me because I did something wrong, so that must be love. The same way with parents or caregivers. If I beat you, right, that means I love you, right? But it's other ways you can deal with handling situations without mental, physical, or verbal abuse. Sometimes it even goes into sexual abuse. If he doesn't take it from me, then it's almost like he doesn't love me. And that's the furthest thing from the truth, right? But you have to get in a space to where you can actually realize that you deserve more. Because if you identify yourself as somebody that's in a trauma bonding relationship, most of those who are in trauma bonds don't immediately recognize it, right? And the first step towards breaking free is reconnecting with the reality and accepting that you are definitely trauma bonding and it is not healthy, right? So trauma bonds can occur because of childhood or unresolved past traumas. And so many of the people in our community do not take the time to seek coaching and counseling and therapy and see a psychologist or a psychiatrist to help them through their childhood past traumas. What happens is it does find itself, ironically, right, or not so ironic, into our relationships that we're having with other adults, i.e., our husbands, our wives, our friendships. All of that trickles over down and it carries on if you do not break the cycle. But because of its addictive nature, and that's what you're used to, and the brain says this is our norm, it can be difficult to break free on your own. You have to get support. You need a recovery expert. The reason why I do what I do in terms of being a master certified professional life coach that specializes in helping individuals get certified is because I want to help people. So when you think about all the help and the resources, the counselors, the therapists, the life coaches that are out there that can help you, and I'm looking for people that want to help people, it's so much you can do to get out of your own way, y'all. You deserve more, but you got to know that the trauma bonding cycle is in 7 phases. It's in 7 phases, but you got to understand where it comes from. You got to seek that help so you can get through it, and you got to break away from the thing that is not serving you today. So when you think about how to break that bond, right? A reliable and comforting support system, whether it's friends or family or a life coach, if you will, can make a world of difference, y'all. I have my own childhood traumas that I have dealt with. And when I tell you it has not been easy, but it's okay that it hasn't been easy. But what I did do different from a lot of people, is specifically in the Black community, I'm okay with getting help. Y'all get the help, right? And then after the first thing you got to do is separate yourself from the relationship. You're going to have to detox from that toxic relationship. You need to surround yourself with people who love and care and support you so you can still get some of that dopamine, serotonin, or oxytocin hormone pumping inside of your body, ridding most of the cortisol hormone, which is the stress hormone that's causing you to be unhappy when you're separating from that particular person. You got to fill it with something, right? So fill it with something that's healthy. Fill your cup with some alkaline water, not the water from the swamp. Okay. The third thing, join a support group. Yana, you are not alone. There's so many people out here right now that's experiencing trauma bonding, and they have gotten through it. So you got to understand that you are not alone. Find you a strong support group to do so. Then practice some self-care. I can't say that enough. And self-care is not going to get your hair and your nails done in a mani and pedicure. That is not what self-care is. Self-care is when you are taking care of your mental proximity. Self-care is when you say, I'm going to let this toxic relationship go and I'm going to focus on me. Self-care is you going to get a life coach. Self-care is saying, I'm going to turn my brain down and meditate for a minute so that I can detox. Self-care says, I'm not going to come do what you asked me to do, mama, sister, friend, child, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. I need some me time for me, right? So that's what self-care is. It is not you going to retail therapy shopping. That does nothing for you, right? Then I need you to allow yourself time to heal. Because when you do that, your triggers don't show up as vividly, if you will, if you had to seek the help. You gotta get the help. Seek the help. Get it. Find you a life coach. Find you a counselor. Find you a therapist. I don't care, therapist. I don't care what you do. Find you somebody to get you some help, right? And then the last thing that I would recommend is recognize whenever you are in a toxic relationship. And after you recognize it, understand that it is vital that you get out of it and you get some help. So this is a video that I want to share with you guys that I saw on TikTok. And before I do that, I'm gonna do this. Add to the stage.
Is when people gloat about this connection that they have with another person. What's interesting is when people gloat about this connection that they have with another person, not understanding that a trauma bond is also a connection too. Maybe the reason you can't leave him is because y'all connected, but in a toxic way. He triggers your triggers that trigger, his abandonment, your codependency creates this bond, makes it so hard for you to leave. And you reason to yourself, I'm with him because I love him though. No, you with him is because you are addicted. You couldn't walk away if you tried. Maybe his hurt is hurting you, but your hurt is hurting you. Maybe you protect him from your trauma, but your trauma is the reason you are sacrificing your future. You are forfeiting a healthy relationship. You are tolerating mistreatment, the reason you are crying. Quit telling me about this connection you have with this man as the reason why you are staying, because you're failing to realize that a trauma bond is also a connection too.
Oh, wait. He spoke a whole word right there, didn't he? He said a trauma bond is a connection too. And I don't think people realize the importance of understanding the type of connection that you're having with people. Right now, it's some individuals that are connected to people who are not healthy for them. And guess what? It's in your family. Guess what? They're sleeping beside you at night. Guess what? That is your best friend of 20 years. Guess what? It's the pastor at the church. Somebody's feelings gonna be hurt on that. Somebody's feelings gonna be hurt. Guess what? It's that person that you trusted and you confided in so much that you feel like the value that they used to give is the same value they're giving today, and that ain't it. Somebody type in chat, that ain't it. Because if right now in the now, that person is not giving you the treatment that you deserve, tell them to cancel Christmas. Tell Santa Claus to get his butt off that chimney. You can tell them reindeers to make a U-turn. You can tell them dang on little elves to stop making them toys. Santa Claus, don't you come down this chimney. It's a wrap. You got to cut off things that are not serving you. You got to detox from the toxic relationship. So before I close this thing out, I want to go ahead and go over the cycle of the trauma bonding again, just so one can understand exactly what I'm saying and how to get out of it, right? So when you think about trauma bonding, it's basically bonding to a person and being loyal to them, even though they're destructive to you. It's a cycle of abuse that is followed by intermittent love or reward, right? And you become addicted to it. So when you think about it, humans want to fun that you form a bond, right? And that's what we want for love and support and survival. And then we bond with the wrong people who mentally and physically abuse us. The next part of the cycle comes, we become dependent on those people for support, and the trauma bond occurs at that time. So when you have that trauma bond, the abuser comes with remorse and things of that nature and try to make up, right? So after making up, you start to feel grateful again, right? And the bond is then reinforced. And then the abuser and starts to do what he does or she does, and you start to feel love from him again because he or she then came in, or it, or whatever it is, and then did those little 5 or 6 things to give you some temporary gratification. And guess what? The love bond, which is cycle number 1 of the trauma bonding cycle, starts over again. So you got to be able to recognize it, okay? Get out of it by separating yourself from the relationship, surrounding yourself with loved ones, people who love and care about you. Join a support group, practice self-care, allow yourself time to heal, and get you a coach, a therapist, or anybody that can help you get out of that cycle, that can professionally help you get out the cycle, not just anybody just gonna talk your way through. That's the importance of having a professional. I can speak from a life coaching point of view because we have different tools and skills and core competencies that we have to go by in order to move the person along to get from where they want to go now to where they're trying to go in the future. I want to put a pin in it really quick. I am doing a It's My Money and I Want It Back tax workshop on February the 10th. It's going to be on Zoom, and we're going to do it at Pyro's Pizza. Food is included. I'm going to drop the information about the trauma bonding in the comments, and I'm also going to drop the information about the tax workshop. I'm doing it with Latoya. She's a personal banker as well as a tax professional, and we're going to show y'all how to get this money right in 2024 as well. But I just came on here to say I appreciate you guys. I would love if you're on the replay, type replay. If you haven't already, please, pretty please share the live, tell a friend, bring a kin. Next week, I will be back on with the She Said, He Said podcast. Y'all know that podcast kind of ratchet, but it's okay. Because on I Can't Coach and Real Talk Live, I can give y'all the, my move money situation as Coach Toy to truly help y'all heal from a professional, if you will, standpoint, versus the She Said, He Said podcast. I'm more of a host, right? Versus somebody that's teaching or giving my opinion. Of course, I'll give a little bit on that and then my professional opinion, but however, it's more so for the people. So I'm going to give it to y'all how y'all want it. Y'all ask for it, I'm giving it to you. So on that note, this is the end of the I Can't Coach and Real Talk Live. I hope you took something from it. If you would, please drop in the comments what you've learned about trauma bonding. I would love to hear your thoughts and feedbacks. Before I jump off of here, I'm going to see if I have any questions or any comments. Also, if you want to jump in the box, I'm okay with that. I'm willing to have the conversation with you because there's so many people out here that have gone through trauma bonding, and I truly want to help individuals get through that. But in order for you to get through that, you got to admit it first, right? Because nobody knows what you're experiencing. And even though from the outside looking in, we can see it, if you can't identify it, you won't get past it. So my advice would be get you somebody. First of all, if everybody's telling you that he or she ain't right, everybody ain't wrong. I don't care how good they make you feel. Everybody ain't wrong. And if you're in a situation where you know you ain't getting valued the way that you're supposed to get valued, run. I mean, run like Forrest Gump. I mean, get the hell out of Dodge. Because the way you teach people how to treat you by the things you will and you will not accept. It is 2024, and a lot of us are over 30 and 40 years old. Come on now. You deserve more. You will have more. It's okay for you to seek help. It's okay for you to recognize that when you look in the mirror, it's not always going to be pretty. It's okay to detach. It's not embarrassing if you leave a husband or a wife that has not, or a boyfriend or girlfriend that has been abusing you. The best thing you could do for you is to get out of it. It's not embarrassing if you walk away and you lose everything. It's okay. But let me tell y'all this, with the right support, technically you gaining more than you losing. You gonna gain more when you detach yourself from that toxic situation. All right, y'all, let me close this thing out, and then I'm gonna get on Tickety Talk. It has been a great night. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will see y'all next week. Hey, TikTok. All right. Hey, TikTok. Hey, Bliss. Bliss on repeat. Ooh, yeah.